Mute from Imaging Office, I would appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ben Reisinger. I'm the Director of Marketing and Public Relations for Imaging Office Systems, and welcome to our first of several remote work webinars. And to lead this webinar today is Barry Carr and his dog Zeus. And Barry is the National Sales Manager for Imaging Office Systems. He has a wealth of knowledge on this subject, and we are looking forward to hearing him talk. And then after Barry talks, we will have some time for a question and answer session. You can raise your hands or you can type in your question into the chat box on the right-hand side. So thank you all for being here. And Mr. Carr, I give the mic to you, sir.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me. Ben, am I coming all right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining us. We want to spend about 30 minutes with you today. Nothing too boring and formal, but we wanted to give you some reality-based tips on working from home. Imaging Office Systems, our office staff, a lot of them work from home, or a lot of our sales staff is remote and have been working from home for years. But there are some that this is new. I know in a lot of ways, some people have been at this for over a month now, and some people maybe just started this week. And it's foreign and it's scary, and things don't work like they should. So we kind of want to give an overview on things you can do to make that transition smoother. And here, as we get down into it a little bit, maybe how Imaging Office Systems can help alleviate some of the angst involved with working from home. So I've got 10 tips here that we'll go through, and I'll check them off and add some anecdotal. I've got some good stories behind some of them. But number one, create separation between work time and play time. So we're at home now. We've got all the distractions that we normally had after we came home from work, and we've got to figure out a way to keep that separate as we're home all day now. What's that look like? Well, one, you don't want to set up Office in the game room. You don't want to look over and see the Xbox calling you because there's 3 or 4 people texting you saying, "Hey, get on the internet and let's play some Call of Duty." So not a good place to have your office. TV and living room. I know some people that sit in their couch and they'll pull up their laptop and they sit there and put on Oprah and they'll watch Oprah and do some work. Also not a good idea. One of the things that I find helpful is that I actually find a little office environment. And when I say that, it could be a spare bedroom. If you look where I'm at right now, we call it the KU room. I'm in Kansas. And there's a day bed in here for guests if they come and stay the night. Of course, if I'm bad and my wife wants to banish me somewhere, sometimes I have to leak into this room as well. But it has a nice window. I'm not huddled in a closet somewhere. I can turn around like at my office at work and look out the window and see how beautiful it is out and wish I were out there. And so I've got familiarity in working that way. It also gives me some separation from the distractions that are at home. And when we're working from home, if we have families and kids and spouses, then there are things going on. So it is nice to be able to shut the door and have some time by yourself. Number 2, create flexible routines for your morning, afternoon, and evening. So a lot of times people, when they go and work from home, they say, "This is my license to get up at 11 o'clock and start my workday." Not a good thing. You have flexibility when you're at home, but try to make sure that you are professional. You're getting up. You'll notice that I put on some work attire so that I feel like I'm in the position to be working. It's okay if maybe you have to take the kids somewhere. In this day and age, I'm not taking anybody anywhere. But if you're working at home and as things start to relax and maybe you need to take the kids to school or you need to go to the grocery store, it's all right to go in the morning, take care of that, and come back. In other words, 9 to 5 isn't this solid structure that it used to be. It's fluid now, and you can take advantage of that, and it'll obviously help you think better to know that you're getting some things taken care of. You can also replace water cooler talk with things that you do around the house. So we know at work, a lot of times somebody comes in and says, "Hey, how was your weekend? Or what did you do?" And you spend 10 or 15 minutes chatting about that. Not uncommon. Let's be honest. It's okay to get up and say, the breakfast dishes are sitting there. I've got 20 minutes until my next conference call. So I'm going to get up, do some dishes, dry them off, put them away, and then come back and sit down and get ready for my conference call. It makes you more productive. It takes a lot of pressure and angst off of things you got to get done around the house, and it fills up some downtime that you might normally fill with just water cooler talk. That kind of bleeds into number 3, don't fight home life. It might be more productive or make more sense to kind of build your workday around things that you may need to take care of at home. For instance, if you got to make dinner, you got to make lunch, make sure you're giving yourself ample time to plan around that. So conference calls, you might say, okay, my son and daughter are going to come in at about 11:30 and they're going to be hungry. I don't want to do a conference call at 11:30 knowing that they're going to blast into the office and say, "I'm hungry." Right, Zeus? Right, right. So simply building your tasks for work around things that you need to do at home is perfectly fine. Number 4, clamp down on distractions. Okay, there are distractions that we can't control, aka the 4-year-old busting the door around, uh, wife coming in to grab something out of the closet, things like that that you just can't control. But there are some distractions that you can. For instance, you can turn off your social media pings. You can turn off things on your email that normally, from a personal standpoint, you might have flagged to alert you. So make it so that it's an environment that you can pay attention to work things. Another nice thing to do is to let others know around the house when you have meetings. So, for instance, and it might be futile, but I went out into the living room and said, "I need 30 minutes here, please, of quietness so that I can do this conference call, this webinar." And everybody nodded their head, and Zeus completely blew that off and came in here and sat down on the floor and staring at me right now. Can't control that, but theoretically, everybody out in the living room is being quiet for me. Number 5, create checklists. To-do lists are your friend. A lot of times in the morning, the first thing I'll do is create a to-do list of things I want to accomplish during the day. It's a fluid list, but there are some that are starred and I really need to have happen. So make sure you're busting those out as early as possible, getting those taken care of if it's timely and available to take care of quickly. Enforce it, make sure that you're doing it, and at the end of the day, see what's fluid and moves to the next day, and then prioritize from there. So it's not much indifferent about how you did that when you were at work. It's just make sure that you adhere to it when you're at home as well. Number 6, block off some quiet time. So the other day I was having a conference call and it happened to be over my noon hour. Well, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to really get much of a lunch, so I ate early and I went for a walk. And I put my earbuds in, and as I was walking around the neighborhood, I was on that conference call. And of course, that works if you don't have to be in front of your PC, but you can do things that accomplish 2 things at once. Get a little exercise, break the monotony, get outside your office, walk around the block, and have a conference call at the same time. Don't do what I did though, and do it such a quick pace that everybody was asking, "You seem out of breath. Is there a virus that we need to talk about that's affecting your lungs?" Um, Number 7, don't be afraid to share half-formed ideas um, or initiatives or things that you're thinking of in solitude at your house with your teammates. Um, in the work environment, it's easy because you pass people in the hallway or you talk to them for maybe another conference call. You go, "Hey, I forgot while I got you on the phone. Can I ask you about this particular situation or this particular initiative that we're doing. What you can do is make sure that you're reaching out and talking to your colleagues via a web service. So feel free to use Skype or use video chats and show yourself on the screen to promote that closeness, to promote that stickiness that you had at work. And it's okay to hit a Skype button and then ping somebody and say, hey, are you available to chat real quick? And have them come up instead of shooting an email. We use email a lot. We even use it sometimes when we're just down in the hallway from each other in the office. But try to use technology and specifically remote enhancement technology to bring that closeness and that close knit community feeling back to the office. That kind of ties into number 8. Always try to continue your use of technology. A lot of us, we were used to spreadsheets, we're used to email, we're used to a telephone. When it came to chats or texts or things like that, we kind of shied away from it. Start to embrace this remote technology and use it as a way, as we talked about earlier, to bring that close knitness back together. And be aware of it and be purposeful about it. When we talk about upgrading your technology, look for things out there that you can use to make yourself techy looking or more savvy looking. We have a lot of conference calls, but not everybody uses their cameras when we're doing those conference calls. We're making a push in imaging office systems to go ahead and encourage getting online, having a daily or a weekly powwow where everybody's on camera and we're talking. And you'll be surprised how much it feels like you're actually in the conference room with each other. Ask for help on these things. Obviously, some people are better at this tech stuff than others. Reach out and talk to them. Say, hey, I don't know how to use my camera. I don't know what to do when it comes to Skype. How do I connect with other people? Ask these questions. And a lot of people will step up to the plate and help you with that. Cameras, microphones, external monitors, all good things to have. Not everybody has the availability of that, but simple Chromebooks now all come with the camera installed. All laptops have a web camera installed. If you have a PC at home that maybe has a camera that you've got mounted on top of your monitor, but it maybe doesn't have a microphone, ask your IT people to supply you with a microphone so that you can participate in these things. And of course, your cell phone, and in our case at Imaging Office System, we have voice over IP phones that we can utilize either as a desktop unit or as a software application on our PCs. So our phones follow us wherever we go. And in this case, we're using the video capability. A lot of us, we hear the clamor out there about Zoom and how they're giving away free access to their software. Take advantage of that. A lot of companies are offering free tech as a way to bridge this remoteness with our colleagues and our work peers. Okay, what are we on? Number 9, collaboration. Look for opportunities to invoke cloud applications in your organization. In a lot of ways, you probably are using cloud apps that you don't even know are cloud apps. For instance, Zoom is a cloud app. Scrum is a term that's used out there, the Scrum works. Scrum, I always thought that it was an acronym, but it's not. Scrum really means the big mass of huddled bodies that occurs right before a rugby game, but all of those bodies are pushing and working as one to a common goal. So if we look at how that works in the digital world, what can we do as tools, or what can we use as tools that allow all of us to have access and to visualize and to then comment and collaborate on initiatives that we've got going on. So, for instance, if we're looking at Ring Central right now, can we pull up a whiteboard and all see it? Can we all contribute to it? And the answer is a lot of these products out there, whether it be Zoom, Ring Central, Skype, all have these tools built into it. Microsoft Teams, if you use Office 365, and you have the Office package, and you've got SharePoint included with it, and there's all these tools that you probably didn't even know that you had access to that are out there to promote collaboration and synchronize um, information sharing. GoToMeeting, DocuSign, all cloud apps that are available and are giving big discounts, if not free. Okay, so let's talk applications a little bit, and then we'll get to some question and answers. So number 10, web access. There's a lot of enhancements out there to what were once deemed premise-based applications. In fact, Office, up until several years ago, was considered a premise-based application. And now with Office 365, these applications can be ran in the cloud, updated, managed, maintained, all of that from Microsoft specifically. And you just pay a subscription or a small annual fee to access and have those tools available to your knowledge workers. When we say cloud, what we're really meaning is an application that doesn't require any software to be loaded locally. Some can be both. Some can be premise-based and ran locally. Microsoft Outlook is a great example of that. It does have a client, but you can also run it exclusively in a web browser. And there are a lot of applications out there now that allow you to do that and to get you further down the road to the common goal of collaboration, document routing, spreadsheet sharing, multiple people on a conference call like we are right now. But it is important to know that there is no silver bullet that takes care of everything. A lot of applications will tout, "Oh, we do it all, we do it all." But most of the time, all businesses will find some area where that doesn't quite fit the way we do business, or that isn't quite what we were looking for, but 80% there. So what do? Collaboration tools out there, anywhere from FileBound as a document management system, OneDrive from Microsoft that allows simple file sharing through the cloud for multiple people. Google Drive is another one out there that allows free access and even free storage in a lot of areas for just simple document storage and sharing. Box as a simplified document management software that's in the cloud. All these applications are ran through a web browser. So if you have Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox or Apple Safari, you can access these applications. And a lot of them then allow that same functionality to be realized in a mobile device as well. So a lot of these things are out there at a very low cost or no cost. And I encourage you to look into those. Sorry, COVID cough right there. So if you are interested in those, it's important to kind of keep in mind what security looks like. And you've probably heard in the last couple of weeks how Zoom was so nice to open up their platform and let everybody globally, schools, businesses, charities, everybody use Zoom as a platform to have these types of meetings. And that's great. And that was wonderful. But when you open up something that was designed for 14 million users to 2 billion users, all of a sudden certain security risks and holes are exposed. And Zoom got a nice dose of that over the last couple of weeks, and there's been a scramble and there's been hacks. My father-in-law the other day, who runs QuickBooks locally, realized, man, what happened? My QuickBooks doesn't work anymore. He realized that he hadn't logged off of Zoom, and somebody came in and hacked his QuickBooks. Now, he didn't lose any money, but he lost some entries, and it was kind of a freaky thing. So it's just one of those things that you need to be wary of, and talk to your IT people about what you can do to safeguard yourself or defend yourself against that. There are firewalls in place. Simple things that you can do at home are when you're on the internet, minimize the amount of applications that you have up and are having open access to the web. So you may use 7 applications during the day, but you're only in 1 or 2 at any given time. Keep the other ones closed and not running in the background. If you do get up to go wash the dishes for 15 minutes, maybe you disconnect from your web router, your wireless router in your house during the time that you're away from your desk and washing the dishes. So there's simple things that you can do. There are also products out there that can create virtual private networks or tunnels from your home office to your network at work that can give added security and protect you from hackers that way as well. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit is how iOS can kind of bring all these ubiquitous applications and programs and all these available tools together for you. And then I want to answer some questions that you guys might have. So I'm going to put up a slide here real quick just to show you a little bit about what we're talking about here. So one of the things that, can you guys see my screen all right? One of the things that I want to talk about is automating processes. So simple processes inside the work environment, like emailing over a document that needed signed by the VP and then sent back to you, was this pretty simple task in the work office. You either A, printed it out and walked it down the hallway and said, hey, I need this signed, or you sent an email to her and said, hey, could you get this signed for me and back, and they would print it out, sign it, maybe scan it back in and send it back to you. And it seemed commonplace. Look at how you can automate some of those processes, because now we don't have the luxury of driving to the boss's house and having her sign it. We have to think about how can we get that there, and how can we make it easy and efficient for that boss to sign it, or that customer to sign it, or that person to review it. And that's where these tools and these applications come into play. Content management systems, cloud-based applications that everybody can access and have the same type of tools, whether it be signing it, approving it, routing it, or collaborating on it. How do you do that from an iOS standpoint? Well, iOS, we call it Yonder, and it's a workshop of all the services needed to create these solutions that I'm talking about, no matter what they are. And they may be something as simple as just a simple email approval and route, or it may be something like, hey, capturing, grabbing an invoice and data entering it into our accounting system. How does iOS help you with that? Well, one thing we can't do is add complexity to your everyday life. So when people look at, okay, I understand what you're saying, Barry, but one, I can't have you out here to look at what we're doing. And two, I have a simple problem. I have these invoices and I need to get them filed away and these 10 data elements extracted off of it and put into my accounting system. And I used to go and hand these to Steve down the hallway, but now Steve is 25 miles away. And what do? And you might say, well, Barry's going to tell me I scan these in, and then I go ahead and do the manual extraction of the data, and I enter them into accounting software, and then I email them all to Steve and say, hey, Steve, take a look at this. Or what I might do is something extremely simple, and this actually just happened today. We had a client that has file cabinets, about 30 of them, and they're adding about 2 a day, the big 5-drawer, and it's because they have these ship receivers that are coming in. And the problem is the people that need to look at them are no longer in the office. They used to be able to walk down the hallway to the shippers and take a look at them. And they said, Barry, what do we do? And they said, we can't put in a new system. We can't even get trained on. We can't train the other people on. But what we need is something super simple for our people to file these documents away. They need to be able to be looked at by these 15 approvers or these 15 knowledge workers who are working for our clients. So when there's a question about a shipment, they can see what the receiver is and where it went to. And we used to have that all in this one room, and now all of our workers are gone. So the next thing they said is that we don't have time for you to train us on capture software. We don't have time for you to train us on how to extract these things, how to set up artificial intelligence. So when we went and we talked about Yonder, we said, let's use all of our tools. Let's use all the workshop available from iOS. And let's go ahead and implement something that's simple to turn on, very, very low cost, and gets the solution and the job that they need done in a very short period of time. So what we did was we put scanner, and each scanner has multiple buttons on it for the document types that they're scanning. So they have the shipper, the receiver, and the manifest. They choose which document they're scanning. They touch the button. It scans to a cloud drive there. And then our lab services uses artificial intelligence to extract the data elements they need. And then we upload it into a repository that's in the cloud that then their 15 knowledge workers can access and help their clients. We can implement this in a matter of days, and we have a low cost, low monthly cost, no matter what their volume is, stays the same, stays constant, so they know what's coming. Very simple, very easy to implement remotely, and able to train because all we have to do is teach somebody to touch a button, and it's over for them. That is a real live example that actually just happened today. So it's a managed service that we can utilize all sorts of different tools that are in our bag to help get to a common solution or a solution that's needed quickly. So with that, I want to open it up for questions. And where are those at, Ben? Are those in the chat?
So you have the ability to unmute yourselves now, everyone. I had to mute everybody because when I unmuted everyone at the same time, we got a little bit of feedback. So Barry, if you would unmute yourself as well again. And then, yes, Barry, we do have one in the chat right now from Angie Mock. What type of software does Imaging Office Systems have that would help with AP and invoice systems? And how would that collaboration work remotely?
I just explained could also work for accounts payable. So accounts payable, you may be in a situation where you're having invoices come in digitally or on paper or in the mail. And so we could use tools that we have available for extracting the data elements that you need, for instance, the invoice date, the vendor name, the PO number, the total amount, line item detail, and then we would extract those in a situation that is either insulated or you can participate in from a quality standpoint, and then deliver back to you a form or a data element that could be ingested by your accounting system. And iOS could then handle the quality control as far as making sure that all the elements were correct, making sure that the images were put in a silo where they could be accessed via the web by your knowledge workers, and that then the data file could be ingested by your accounting system. The software we would use is interesting because there's a myriad of pieces of software that we could use. We may use total artificial intelligence and document classification using Cygen, or we may use knowledge workers in our own lab to hand key that information because it happens to be handwritten. So, there isn't a job that's too complex or too simple that we can't address and use different tools to accomplish the common goal. Good question.
Jen, you had your hand up for a question.
I do. Like Zeus, my cat Henry here is interested in um, remote working from home. So I just had a quick question. How easy is it to automate simple business tasks to save your employees time?
Right. So I'll use the example I just explained earlier as far as making uh, the ability to file away a document. Many times filing away the paper document into the right file folder is the tedious business task that we're trying to eliminate. Or in this case, because nobody can get to the centralized storage system to look at those documents after they've been physically filed, how can we take that out of the hands of the filers and make it available then to the knowledge workers who are now working remotely? And in this case, it'll be a matter of implementing the wireless scanner and entering in the buttons for the different document types. That's going to be about a day, and then doing a few practice runs to make sure that everybody understands that they press one button for this document and another button for this document, and then the rest of it is behind the scenes. It's the customer would not even see what's going on. They would just see the finished product as far as an index document in a web-based repository for their access. So you could implement something in a matter of hours if need be, um, from a simplistic standpoint.
Very nice. Thank you, Barry. Our next question came in chat from Connor Burgess. Could you please tell us about the implementation of remote work systems? First part, and then second part, how does that work in the atmosphere of today? You know, what's going on right now. So, how would that happen during the pandemic that we are going through right now?
Right. Well, from the standpoint of remote work systems, we're forced to do that now. So many offices, many businesses have certain tools already in place. They have a hybrid system that they utilize from a remote work standpoint. And so, obviously, the first thing you need to do is see what we have in place, how we can enhance that, and then adjust it to what is needed right now. From a standpoint of the pandemic and being able to implement these, that's kind of the beauty of iOS and having these tools available to implement quickly in the now, remotely in the cloud. Even training can take place in the cloud, like we're doing right now. And I think the most important thing is that customers today don't want a system put in place that's complex to use. They don't have the time right now to spend for 2 weeks of training. IT doesn't want to have to manage a new application that they have to load on their servers and know how to upgrade and know how to maintain. They want something that they can put in place that's going to be very simple for the knowledge workers to use. So 10 to 15 minutes worth of remote training, and that the heavy lifting and all of the intelligence behind the system takes place behind the scenes, and that the solution delivers what it was supposed to deliver, and that it was implemented quickly. So it's about simplicity, it's about remote access and remote training, and then it's about delivering the solution that was asked for.
And Tim Byrne, I see you are unmuted. Would you like to ask your question, sir?
Sure. um, how do you make sure that everyone on our team gets the needed information if we use a document management system? You talked about FileBound or OnBase or other document management systems. How do you make sure everybody has access to that?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question because depending on what content management system you're using, there may be licensing conflicts. I know a lot of them are opening up their platforms to allow multiple users access. And we'd have to take that case by case depending on what content management system that you use. However, I can tell you that we do carry some specific platforms that will allow unlimited users. So there isn't a cap on that. And then, of course, with concurrent licensing, you can handle a group of users with a lower license count. But we'd have to look at that on a case-by-case basis.
All right. Thank you, Barry. And it looks like we have one other question here from Adam. It says, with scanning documents, in what situations does it make sense to have the scanning equipment yourself or on site? And at what point does it make sense to have a scanning service do that work for you?
Right. So I think a lot of times you look at scanning from a distributed standpoint or a centralized standpoint. With centralized scanning, a lot of times there's batch capture where you have large groups of documents, let's say 500, 2,500, 5,000 at a time that need to be scanned. So maybe pre-remote work, those documents were coming to a central location. They were being collated or they were being prepped for scanning, and then you were taking those and putting them into a departmental or even a work group or production type scanner that was very fast and very robust in ingesting that amount of paper. With the remote side of things, I think you need to start to change your mindset a little bit to more of a distributed type capture. And therefore, you're looking more of a desktop scanner, less batch scanning, and more individual document type scanning. In the example I gave earlier, the office was taking all the documents, they were storing them into large file cabinets, and then maybe annually they would empty the file cabinets and have them digitized for archival purposes. With the new solution that we're looking at now, they would, as soon as an individual receiver was gleaned, they would walk over to the scanner and scan in the 15-page document, and then have the data extracted from that digital image. So instead of centralization and scanning in batch and in mass, they pushed it to the desktop and said, when you're finished with this receiver, you, instead of filing it in the file cabinet, your filing mechanism now is to drop those 15 pages into the desktop scanner and walk away. Good question.
Hey, Barry, Bill Stewart, got one more for you. So,
Okay.
are the solutions you're talking about, are they available like on a tablet, a smartphone? I have a Chromebook at home, or we have to log into, a PC like at work and connect to the web?
Right. So the nice thing about a web-based system is that we have browsers on our phones too. So a web-based system many times has a reactive screen that adjusts to the size of the device that you're accessing the application on. So that makes it very seamless as far as going back and forth between desktop or a mobile device. So the quick answer is yes, they're available on tablets, smartphones, Android, Chromebooks, etc., especially since they are a web-based application or a cloud-based application.
Okay, great, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're at 1:38. So I've taken enough of your time. I appreciate all the good questions. Thanks a lot. Zeus, thank you. He's gone out for another doggy biscuit. But look forward to talking to you more in the future. We plan on having these every couple of weeks, so look in your inbox for the next one, and we'll get more granular on some of the case studies and things that we've done to help other people and other companies. One last thing before we go. One awesome thing about working from home and having meetings like this is that really only people get to see you from the waist up.
Oh my gosh.
Waist up, right? So today in my office and in my house, and since it's 80 degrees out, it's kilt day. You guys have a good one.
Good kilt.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Oh, it's hilarious.